Hey everyone, I'm Maria Bosted. I'm the founder and CEO of Po Campo. I'm here with Marty Crandall. She's our head of product, and we wanted to invite you to just a sustainability conversation between me and Marty. This is something the two of us have been working on for the last couple of years. And around this time every year is kind of when we check in to see how things went with what we tried to do in the last year and think about the future. And so we thought it'd be cool to have you all be a part of that conversation. I wanted to start it off with just like a quick recap of everything Po Campo has done over the last couple of years. I started the Quest for Sustainability video series back in 2018.
Yeah,
Believe it or
yeah.
not. And it was actually REI was kind of the impetus to it because that was when they had first established their like sustainability guidelines, what they wanted all their suppliers to work towards. And it was really made us have to go through and like see how we were doing and what we wanted to do. And at that time, it really was just like a fact-finding mission. Like, what does PFAS mean? What does all this stuff mean? What is a code of conduct exactly? Marty, do you want to give our viewers a recap of things that we have done in the last couple of years?
Sure, sure. It's funny because I remember taking some of the footage in China at the time, and now we're all the way in Vietnam, and just how much has changed in since 2018. First easy one to kick off was that we stopped packing our bags individually in poly bags. So they would be packed individually in a poly bag and then put in a big bag in a box. This allows the consumer to not have to worry about recycling a thin plastic bag. Instead, the warehouse has sort of like a high volume of thin plastic bags, and they're able to recycle that really easily. So that was kind of like a really fast, easy win for us.
And for people who are wondering, why have a poly bag at all? What is the purpose of that larger plastic
Well,
bag?
so it's mainly just dust and, protect, just kind of basic protection so that when you receive your bag, you feel like you've got that new bag smell instead of factory smell or warehouse smell.
Right.
So that's kind of the purpose, just to make sure that the bags stay clean while
Right.
they're in storage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we also, as far as the packaging was concerned, we switched to a brand called Eco-enclose. And so it's a poly mailer. And you're like, well, but that's plastic again. Well, it's kind of interesting because weight and air freight is actually like a major thing. And so when we shipped them in cardboard, the bag incrementally weighed a little bit more than when we shipped it in plastic. And so even though we're sending you a plastic bag again, we're reducing the air freight weight. So therefore reducing the carbon emissions.
Yep.
So the next exciting topic for sustainability was all the fabrics that we've designed, come up with, switched to, and things like that. I'll start with Busy Hemp. This is a super exciting product that I developed. All these little white dots in here, those are reflective. And you can see, so there's a backing, but if I peel back the backing, you can see all those reflective threads. So what this means is that all those little points will catch light as you're walking in the dark, but the black stuff is half or over half hemp, and then the remainder is a recycled polyester. So we've got both a natural fabric that's easily grown.
It grows
And
faster than cotton and uses less water and has a lot of environmentally friendly benefits compared to other natural fibers.
Yep. And then the strengthener is the poly, but it's a recycled poly. And this fabric, basically all of our customers have commented in that they pick up the bag and it feels like it's already their worn best friend. It is just the softest fabric. It's so nice. And so our lining, we switched to recycled, which also allowed us to streamline. So we only have 2 colors now. And we developed a little pattern that has a little recycled symbol on it.
Right. Right.
And then same
recycled. What is it recycled from?
plastic water bottles.
Yes. But it's weird to think like polyester and plastic water bottle. So it's the number one, the PET, that's also polyester, just in a totally different form, fabric. But it's actually the same compound. Everybody keep recycling your plastic water bottles because it does have a home. It does have a need.
Right, right. And so then the other fabric, which is going to be really hard to see because it's black, this is also a recycled polyester. So we were able to not only upgrade our black, but we also got to pull in some more recycled, and it's cheaper. So we got another cost savings, which is kind of nice. You know, whenever you spec recycled fabrics, you always feel like, oh, this is going to increase the price of everything. But we actually had a little bit of a savings, which was just, it's nice.
Yeah, and there's another thing I just thought of that we hadn't talked before we started recording, and I don't know if this was in place. No, actually, I know it wasn't in 2018. Since then, we've switched to a new factory.
Right. And with this factory, we also have basically like a little bit of trust but verify. We do have our compliance documents, but there is a heavy level of trust that I have in this factory. It's European owned. The language barrier is non-existent, and just being like, hey, can you guys handle the chemical compliance? Instead of their reaction being like, oh yeah, we'll get to that later. It's, oh, sure, here's the documents we give to all of our other clients. We are already doing it. Right. We are already meeting labor standards, chemical standards, all those things. So for them, it was just sort of like, oh, you want us to sign your document too? Here you go. Like, and so it does give a nice sense of security, because when we were working with other factories and we were like the small potatoes in that factory, yeah, you feel like, hi, can you help us do stuff? And they'd be like, why?
I know. And then it's like, you don't want to be too much of a pain in the butt, because you don't want them to be like, forget Po Campo. They're asking for too much. They're only like 2% of our business, and it's, so it's always kind of like walking that line too. Like, you have your needs, you need to like ask for it, but you don't want to be too troublesome because you could just get cuts, so working with the factory that we have now, which is a smaller organization, and but they've just been fantastic partners. And like, as we've been talking through this, all these things that we've talked about so far, the changes we've been able to make, is totally because they've been able to help us with that,
and support us and
suppliers and everything, and understanding where we're coming from, and not being like, why would you want that? And instead like, oh yeah, totally, here. So that's everything that we've done since like 2018 kind of to this year, 2023. So now we're like, okay, what do we want to be focusing on for the next year or two? Earlier this year, Marty and I kind of had a heart to heart about this, and we were thinking about, like, we know for our customers, doing something that's better for the environment is one of the main things they love about biking. I mean, it's fun, all that other stuff too, but it's something that's important to them. That's part of the reason why we felt like having a more sustainable products to mirror that value was really important. And so as we were thinking about like, well, why is biking better for the environment? It really is having reducing your personal carbon footprint is really, I mean, it actually makes a big difference to use your bike instead of a car. What can we focus on that we're just like, this is what we're going to be doing? And we wanted to focus on that, continuing to reduce our carbon footprint as a business. Marty, what did we decide to do to kind of move the needle in a bigger way for that in the near term?
So for this year, our goal is basically to understand our shipping cost, like not the cost money wise, but the cost carbon wise. Last year was kind of a rough year for all companies with the pandemic, and the shipping got really weird. And we ended up flying in a lot of product just to make sure that you guys could have it, because the boats were having trouble getting out of the ports. Actually, they had no problem sailing in the water. They got stuck in the ports. So we were flying a lot of product, and I was really hyper aware of this when I did this little funny questionnaire that asked what was more impactful. And it was like, recycling, nope. Not driving your car, yes. Not flying an airplane, yes. And I was like, yeah, I know these. All right, okay. For 2023, we are going to fly less product. really taking the time to break down just exactly what we need, and then trusting that the sea shipment is
Mhm.
now that problem is cleared, and that we will get our product on the boat in 6 to 8 weeks. Um, so that's a big one that we're going to do, and then we're also going to start to dig deeper into our small product shipping, and like our shipping to a customer. And that one's going to be kind of tricky because a lot of people now expect to just click on the internet and they get it next day from Amazon. So how do you compete with that? Like, what's the environmental cost of Amazon and this behavior that we've created
Yeah,
that we expect it tomorrow?
and I think like if you're taking like a bike trip this weekend, and you find a Po Campo bag and you're like, yes, I need it by Friday, so I need 1 or 2 or 3 days. But I do feel like we have that kind of product that is less urgent, where like you find it, you want it, you're going to use it, but you don't need it like the next day. Like if you get it in a week, it's probably still okay. And I'm just thinking, like, as we're talking about this, like on our website, when you're choosing your shipping, like, instead of having it just for like how many days it's going to be, to kind of spell it out more, like, okay, if you want in the next 3 days, it's going to be air, or if you can wait a week, and so that we could do it not air, that would be the more sustainable option. And I don't know if that would be possible for us to like have the difference in like the carbon outputs, for the two, so that people could,
Right. Are we giving our clients carbon credits?
right.
Like, here, if you're not clients, but customers, here, if you ship ground, you get a gold star on your bag.
Right, or something like
Oh,
but
that's actually, to that topic, like one of the things that I did some research on was the buyback program, like buying your carbon credits, especially for flights. And it is not sorted yet. Like, not, and I don't say by me, I say by the world. The world has not sorted how to actually and effectively offset the carbon credit. You know what? I'm not going to look into carbon offsets right now. I'm just going to look into pure reduction. Just simple reduce it. Like, that is a legitimate way to reduce versus like trying to buy off the problem.
and I could see somebody like watching this and be like, well, why are you focusing just on shipping? Okay, we already said we took this like quiz on the New York Times over the holidays that like put, air travel. And I think we all kind of know that, just, that it's it uses a lot, and like one plane trip is the same as like using your car every day, or something like that. Okay, everybody has to like fact check this. I'm not basing this on anything. I feel like this is
No.
total um okay, but that's where we kind of zeroed in on air travel. And I should also say that we're also tracking the air travel that we do for business travel, although that is also pretty minor now. I feel like
Right.
everybody got used to doing things on Zoom, so we don't do a ton of it, but still tracking it is at least like a baseline benchmark. But I could see somebody being like, well, what about, okay, shipping, got it, but what about how you make your product? How do you know your carbon footprint with that? And what could you do about that? Do you have any thoughts on that, Marty?
Okay, so that's one of those that we talked about, of having the clout and being a large business.
Mhm.
That's where you have to be able to go and demand from every single source their answer. Like, what's your carbon emissions, zipper person? And for a small company, that's a super big challenge. That one's a longer lead time process. And so when we think about our sustainability pathway, it's like, okay, what is our short-term plan and long-term plan? And so, like, what we've said is this year short-term is just to take a really deep dive into shipping, because
Mhm.
shipping is something that I can super understand. I can say it went from here to here. But then when we dive deeper into the supply chain, then it starts to be like, okay, it's a slower process, but it's definitely on our map to start cataloging all of it and get all of it sorted. As Maria said earlier, like as far as chemical compliance, that's something we can handle after the suppliers made the product. We do the testing.
You talked about how we moved to Vietnam, and over the last couple of years, we've now most of our raw materials also come from Vietnam.
Mhm.
So as we're thinking about shipping, I mean, it is for sewn goods, definitely a global marketplace, and a lot of, things that you see in your products, the zipper will come from here, the lining will come from like all over the world, and so that we have been able to really centralize that. I think as we think about shipping and reducing the carbon, that also makes a big difference, that we're not like flying in the raw materials from all over the world too. I don't have the actual one, but
Oh, I've got one.
okay, this is like we're deciding like what ink color. Okay, so we designed this little water bottle tag to show people that we're using
The
recycled water.
recyclable fabrics.
Okay,
Yeah.
and just like earlier this week, Marty pointed out to me that this tag is actually kind of wasteful because it's not like a square. So when they cut it out of a piece of paper, there's going to be more waste. And I was like, that is true, And so just kind of like thinking through all those little details, and it's just, they're small, but the little small ones add up,
Yep. So don't be surprised if in 24 the tags have changed again.
Right, to maximize usage.
To maximize usage and to minimize waste. I mean, because you're going to take the tag and you're going to look at it, and you're like, cool, and then you're going to check it. So how do we minimize that throwaway? Because we still need to give you the information. It's very important.
Right.
We want to make sure that when you get the bag that you're not, generating too much garbage after the fact.
Right.
Both of us have worked in a variety of different products throughout our careers. And I legitimately love that I'm working for a bike bag company now, because I have definitely designed product that is garbage. Like it's just garbage. Not that the design was bad, but that nobody was going to keep this object for very long.
Mm-hmm.
I love these bags because they're durable. They're not going to fall apart on you. So you get to keep them for a long time. We are not trying to create that planned obsolescence. We're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're trying to create a bag that lives forever until you get tired of it. But also the product and what it's for. So our bags are specific for transportation help, right? So you can just hop on your bike and go for a recreation ride, and all you need is a water bottle in your water bottle cage, and that's great. And now you've got some good exercise. But what we're trying to do, and what our bags help you do, is get out of your car.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually take your bike and go to the store, and you can take your bike and go to work, and our bags are the ones that are helping you get there. And so I like to think that even though as we get bigger, we're going to have more carbon because we have to ship over more product. But if we're getting bigger, that means more people are getting on their bikes and commuting, because I don't really think that if you look at the pie of us and all of our competitors, I don't really feel like someday Po Campo is going to like sell all their product and the other companies not. I think it's more that pie is just going to get huge. So as you see Po Campo growing, that means more people are using their bikes for transportation, like to go to work, to go to school, to go to the grocery store. And that's so
I know, I just got goosebumps as you're talking.
It's so exciting to think that somehow everything is kind of coming into place, because it's not just our bags. Like, we're producing the bags and they're awesome, but we also need to get the bike paths sorted so that people feel safe getting on their bikes.
Feeling safer on the roads is a major hurdle, and that's being improved. And then making bikes more accessible to people, and I think like both of those can be helped with the government subsidies and budgets and things.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people don't think about bikes as transportation necessarily, because they think of it so much as recreation. And how many kids who cannot drive a car would love to have bike authority? Or for somebody who cannot afford a car, can afford a $3,000 e-bike, and now they've got transportation.
Yeah.
It's so important. And it's it is sustainability that we're here to help. We're here to support it.
Support it,
Go
yes.
get your bike and then get it back.
Okay, I think that's awesome. So I guess on that note, feel like we kind of touched on everything that we wanted to talk about. I would love for people watching this video, if there's anything that you would like to see sustainability wise, either more of what we've done, decisions we make, or things that you've seen other brands or companies do that you feel like would be a good fit for Po Campo, we would love to hear your ideas always. So put them in the comments or email us, let us know what you think. And I'll just reiterate what Marty said, get on your bike with a Po Campo bag and ride.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks.